Hi, I'm going to give an overview now of the MAG 250 IPTV set-top box. It's a very, very popular model. Basically, it's a Linux-based set-top box, and the purpose of it is really for streaming TV. They can use it for going on, we'll say, looking at YouTube, all the rest of it here. But so the typical way of, we'll say, for online boxes, either have them Linux-based or Android-based. Now, Androids are great for adding on apps and all the rest of it, but specifically for the streaming part of it, something like a Linux-based box, particularly this one, which is specifically designed for that purpose. Really, really popular, really high-end, works extremely well. If we look at the basic specifications on it here, it's 256 meg of RAM and 256 meg of flash as well. And in terms of the reliability on them, they're really super. So the format of this video here is going to be that I'm going to give an overview of exactly what comes in the outer box. We'll look at the unit itself in a little bit more detail, and then we'll actually give a demonstration here, just the menu functions and also streaming on it. So the typical applications of who's using it for streaming is just domestic people who just want to come along and subscribe to a service online and stream their TV directly that way. But also there's commercial end of it here. So a lot of customers would be people who have put in, we'll say, a head end in a hotel or an apartment block or a nursing home, something like that. They're streaming, they want to send around a set number of channels through a head end that they would have done traditionally through axial cable. But what they're doing now is they're sending it out over IP and picking it up on a box like this and then just viewing it there. So the outer box itself, you can see it's pretty swish, and inside of this what we have is we have a user manual which is in English. We have a power unit here, and it's 5 volts and 2 amps. We have a 3.5mm the RCA cable here. Now the choice there really would be you'd be using something like this with an older TV, or on a newer TV you'd normally obviously be using the HDMI output in the box, but it just makes it very flexible. You can use it with either. We have our remote control here, great range and easy to use, and a set of AAA batteries. And then finally what we have here is the main unit itself. And just to give you an idea of proportion of it, very, very neat little unit, okay? What I'm going to do at this point is I'm actually just going to come around to the front of the box and we'll just look at it in a little bit more detail. So the first thing to note is there's a USB port on the front of the box. I'll just rotate it around. There's obviously a sensor in there as well for picking up and the remote control, an IR sensor. So we have a second USB port here, and then in terms of the outputs on it, what we could use here is we could use the this connection here, but basically the input on it is effectively the LAN connection here. So it doesn't have a Wi-Fi on it. You have to connect it with a LAN cable, but we do sell an associated product on the website on it here. What you can have is a USB Wi-Fi dongle, and they work brilliantly well. Just clip straight in, picks up, and you can run it without the LAN cable then, just off your Wi-Fi network. We have the HDMI output here, which is the FP or SPDIF digital optical, and also what we have is the AV output here as well. Okay, so what we have then finally is we have the power output input here as well, and that's where you connect your DC power comes from. Okay, so if we come along, we look at the main event over here. We can just see it set up. So the main one people will obviously be using for is TV. We'll flick back to this in a moment, but I can just arrow straight through. There's a video club or YouTube, you can go directly onto it. There's a radio where you can set up a list of channels there and subscribe to a radio service. There's the settings there, and there's internet as well, and media browser, okay? And if we flick back to the TV here, what I can actually do here is I can just hit the TV and just flick back to whatever channel I was on previously. So we've actually set this up, we'll say, on our own thing where we're actually streaming around an Irish channel. So this particular one here is the thing, and we can just do it there, and you can just see it's there. So it's important to note with this, we'll say, we have sold other hybrid boxes, things like this, where there's sort of a mix of tuners and satellite things in this, but the only input on this box is the LAN connection here. So what you're doing is it's just really for streaming the thing. So these boxes themselves are very, very popular. There's a range within them there. There's a slightly higher spec than this one as well. 250 is probably the most famous, the most popular on the market currently, simply because it meets all the specs. And in terms of, we found and discovered, would say, because it's absolutely you know, it's very focused on the streaming thing and things like that. Where we test this against other boxes with the same internet connection here, the mags come out way ahead of them, simply because it's far more efficient in how it's working. So that's it anyway, an overview of the MAG 250 IPTV set-top box.